All right, morning guys. Can everybody hear me okay? It's my first day back at my office. I just want to make sure I've hooked up all these cables properly. Excuse me. Cool. All right, we're back in action. So we'll start in just a couple minutes. Have a peek at what's up for the week. And it's so good to be back on this system. I'm going to share screen. Voila. Go. All right, let's just get into it. Fuck it. Let's go on to our bigger time frames. Here. All righty. So let's get out to our weekly. Okay, yeah. So weekly, I mean, pretty standard. EU expecting a pullback to start putting itself in place at this point. Reacting, yeah, just in this like little interaction flip zone in here on a daily. We could probably get this refined down to somewhere in this level down here. But the bottom line is we're starting to react to demand. We're just going to start watching out, you know, what the details are sort of telling us. Let's get over to actually back to the weekly, and I just want to put this on the daily demand. Okay, there we go. Let's get down into our daily. So yeah, starting to push away. You know, we've seen the daily sort of order flow, or not even order flow, but just first supply failure. I'm sure on a lower time frame, there's a swing point in this little region right here. So now it's just a matter of like understanding, you know, are we going to make new lows from here? Are we going to pull back a little bit further, like deeper into the actual leg itself? And to be honest, like, yeah, we don't know yet. It's too early to tell. As it stands right now, I would probably think that we would maybe start to look at like these areas in here, areas just above these liquidity regions, you know, ideally areas where there's inducement. You know, every single person in smart money is going to be looking at this little area, right? So yeah, we'll just have to stand by and kind of watch how these things sort of develop. But ideally, you want to see a strong order flow shift, which is something that we've kind of seen back to the downside. Now that I'm just kind of looking at this, you can kind of see this strong order flow shift that's happened. But in the past, you can see what happens, right? Like the initial order flow shift, boom, usually gets swept. And then we'll look for realignments and all that kind of stuff a little bit deeper on in price. So right now, can we look for sells, right, is like the big question. Obviously, when you look at this from sort of like the higher time frame and navigating yourself down, like to me the swing point is like, and again, depending on what time frame you're using and all that kind of stuff, but like the overall picture is that this is a swing point, right? We haven't quite come up into the premium yet. Chances are we're going to still see some higher pricing. So well, ideally what I would like to see is something, you know, drive down. We could probably capitalize on potential shorts in here, and then be able to take this up into, you know, regions like this, you know, get some consolidation sweeps, and then we can start to potentially look for sort of like these higher time frame narrative sells if they're going to actually prevail from these regions. So and then we can start to look at, like, once swing structure breaks, of course, you know, then we can start to look at structural shift, creating new strong lows, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for EU, yeah, as it stands right now, I'm looking at, let's get down to a lower time frame. You can see, and like the problem too with this new this new high that got printed is that this happened off of news, so there's not necessarily going to be a whole lot of money backing these candles or anything like that, where these are going to be strong highs and strong lows. I'm going to be waiting for all of this stuff to sort of clear up both sides, and then ideally trade alongside higher time frame order flow, right? So EU, yeah, tough to say right this second. Tomorrow will be a little bit better for just kind of understanding what that next move in the market is once we get through Asia and London, and ideally New York as well. Let's get into GU. Yeah, similar stuff, right? Like, you know, we've got a sort of like a structural sweep that's happened now. Ideally, we want to start considering what the next move is, based on, like, again, I'm not like a counter trend guy. I've always struggled with trading against you know, the overall money flow. So I'm going to essentially wait till, you know, if we came up into, you know, obviously we have a flip zone that rests right here. There might be a take on liquidity somewhere in here on a lower time frame. We've got inducement right here. You know, checking into here, checking into here. These POIs are going to gain relevance based off of delivery, you know, how we deliver into and then away from, right? So we want to see that strong order flow shift, and then we can probably play the pullback into the extreme that we want to actually trade away from with higher time frame narratives. So yeah, as it stands right now, like these are like there's nothing that I'm super interested in on any of these two pairs just for the time being. But yeah, like getting into lower time frame stuff, again, this is always going to be meant to just kind of give you a little bit more of like the higher time frame perspective on Sundays, give you a little bit of a catalyst moving into the week so that we can understand where the more favorable plays are going to sit, right? And ideally get us into those higher RR positions and thinking about those higher RR positions. So that's pretty well it for that one. Now, again, like, you know, you kind of look into these areas now where, like, okay, like we've interacted with you know, some form of a supply zone, doesn't take liquidity, doesn't really do anything that's really like that substantial. So I would assume that, you know, this low right here, we should tap in to be able to continue sort of going higher. We've got tons of liquidity to support the move. We've got unmitigated POIs that rest up here. Now we could also take all of this liquidity as well and very easily rock it up. So just watching these zones, right? I mean, we've seen the order flow shift. Like, could we continue downwards? Sure. It's definitely possible. I have a hard time thinking that this is going to end up taking out this low right now, just with the amount of orders that are going to be resting in these zones right here. So looking for like looking at this as like probably like a 15-minute swing structure break right here. I would say that this level down here, with using this as inducement, would be probably the most favorable area to look for it. And again, you don't need to be the first one in. What you need to understand is that when we come into these zones, if and when it does happen, we can let order flow sort of realign, even if we sweep it, right? And then essentially start to look for that realignment on respected timeframes, come back in, you know what I mean, do the same thing, right? And start looking for our LTT and LTT within these areas to be able to take out these potential weak highs. GJ, let's have a quick peek. All this. So GJ looks like it's gonna fall off the face of the earth. We've been talking about this one for a couple of weeks now. Honestly, like at the time that all of this was kind of going on, this is back in, where was that? Yeah, July 10th in these areas. July 7th ish. I thought that these were going to be simple continuations, to be honest with you. That's kind of what it seemed like at the time, just because there's just so much resting underneath these lows. So I'm going to be looking for ideally something that like pulls back at some point. I'm just looking for, this is all I'm looking for. Okay, building some lower time frame liquidity, getting a sweep, a break, and then something like this to be able to trade this continuation, right? some form of inducement that sits here, inducement in here on lower time frames, whatever it might be. But yeah, coming from a sweep, aggressive shift, and then capitalize on the sweep, right? So I'll be watching for lower time frame confirmations on GJ for a similar move to this, just based on the fact that I do see this as having a lot more downside potential. And yeah, that's basically that's it for GJ. USD CAD, we're starting to see, like, obviously we get the sweep, probably going to push up. I think we're going to probably die out, something along the lines of this. Got to be patient for this, stick to your rules, premium sitting in here. Look for this to realign, look for lower time frame confirmations in here. Like, this doesn't, like, I know it's like we're sitting in bullish structure, but like, dang, man, this is going to want to come down to grab more to be able to potentially come up. And I don't even know that that's going to happen, to be honest with you. So yeah, just going to be, again, just be mindful of all these things. Just watch, like, understand, like, what's this next move happening, right? Like, what is happening in the market? Is the expectation to make a new high from here? I mean, it could happen. It could happen for sure. But like, ultimately, I think that we're going to probably push up into here, come back down, probably take out all of this, and then potentially start moving up this way, right? So just, again, keep it in mind, like, what is happening on, like, don't forget, like, even though we only have 4 hour 15 that is covered within the plan, it is your responsibility to be able to get into these time frames on the higher time frame and just understand, like, what the dynamic is, like, where is money trying to flow. We can see that it is trying to flow this way. It's very, very apparent that the money is very much trying to flow in that direction. However, when you get down into the nitty gritty and you say that, okay, like, is this a reasonable area for price to continue higher? It could be. You can set yourself up to potentially play that, but you also need to be mindful of the fact that if we've seen this shift as aggressively as we have, and we come back up into these regions, expect to see a nice pullback to potentially capitalize on that next move, right? So again, just all stuff to keep in mind is higher time frame, understand what's going on. I'll start touching on this a little bit more in our daily sort of outlooks, or whatever the fuck we call them. Jesus Christ. Anyways, daily look aheads. That's the word. Next one, Euro JPY. Yeah, it looks like this is going to try to make some downside. Let's go over to here. Yeah, we've come into, we've had this sort of shift, right? Break, come back down, liquidity to take, liquidity to now target. Ideally, we're probably going to want to see one more sweep like this before it really, really drops down, to be able to take out this liquid region again. But yeah, you can just kind of see what's happening again, just on that higher time frame, and be able to understand what that next possible move. Like, I mean, right now we're starting to move away from this. I would say that there's a reaction to probably play in here, but we need to see how our structure mapping ends up playing out as well on our lower time frame. So let's just have a quick peek. Yeah, this is probably going to break. This will probably, excuse me. I think this is probably going to take this out pretty easily, and coming down into deeper portions of these areas down here before we start to see a substantial pullback. So what I would be looking for, getting into this week is going to be seeing some form of a lower time frame. Again, take on liquidity, break down, come back up, and again, start looking for these continuations on those pro-trend, pro-order flow after a sweep. What else are we gonna XAU? So XAU obviously coming into an area above liquid region. Possible to start seeing some more downside potential from here. We're going to remain bearish until sort of proven otherwise. Yeah, the sentiment is to continue lower. However, we just need to be mindful of the fact that we do have liquidity resting here. We could sweep this, come back up, and then drop down. We could also continue higher as well, and be able to come into just higher portions of this overall leg, right? We're getting more and more and more discounted. So it's, again, just remember what's happening from the higher time frame. What is the next potential big move that's going to happen in the market? When you start focusing on these bigger moves with the higher time frames, it's very easy to know what side of the market you'd like to stay on. and not just be sitting here, living on with hopes and dreams of catching every single intraday play. So, strong lows are not strong lows, but lows are holding. Chances are, like I said, and I think I mentioned this late last week, is like we have liquidity resting here. We could very easily see something like this and then drop down. So we'll have to evaluate as market opens tonight, getting into Monday for London as well as New York, and kind of get ourselves situated. Again, from last week, we had a bunch of news that came out late in the week that created some wonky candles. Ideally, we want to see these all get cleared out and then move into the week to be able to kind of interpret what's happening for the next big move. So we'll get into that tomorrow night when we actually do the first daily outlook for the following day. And yeah, that's basically it. So as it stands right now, to like build out your watch list, the best way to sort of do this is that, okay, if we're on like a 4 hour, okay, right now the 4 hour is bullish, right? Technically pulling back against the higher time frame lag, right? So GJ is bullish. We've had the bullish chalk up, but yeah, now we can start to look for that next play to kind of come down into the potential extremity. So it's bullish right now until we essentially see some sort of an order flow shift or order flow realignment. So same thing, bullish, GJ, bearish, USD CAD, bullish right now, bullish structure, haven't broken the low or anything like that. So go like this. Euro JPY, it's going to be probably pretty bearish. And that's it. And it's as simple as this. Like, I mean, you're going to only look for, you're only going to ideally look for positions that are in the general direction of higher time frame money, and just what's happening in the market in the last 3, 4, 6 days, whatever it is, so that you can just stay aligned with what the money is doing. We're not trying to fight what's happening, right? We want to be able to kind of blend in and kind of ride the gravy train that's already being provided for us, right? And these continuations with pro-temporal order flow are the most optimal ways to get in. It's the easiest way to get involved in the market without having too much to worry about. So yeah, any questions about this? Is this I hope this is useful for you guys, but like I said, it's the easiest way to sort of go about these things is just set your reminders, set your alerts, set your if this happens, what's the next step, right? And just plan to have your trade sort of dialed in, have your narrative dialed in, so that ultimately when these things do present, the idea is that, okay, when we have a trade idea that frames up, we're already understanding what side of the market to be on, and then moving away from that, we have a very, very specific criteria that needs to be met in relation to our trade plan to be able to potentially capitalize on these trades. So are there any questions, guys? Like I said, I'm back in my office finally after about 2.5 weeks. So there's going to be lots of new stuff coming out this week. We've got I've got a bunch of stuff that's archived. The site, we're really hoping to get the site launched by end of week this week. We just got a Discord bot that's been built to re-verify. I'm sure everybody kind of saw the message that David put in the Discord announcements channel. So there'll be like a little verification process, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to have to repay or anything. It's just going to be verifying with the bot so that we can step away from using LaunchPass and have more of our integration or our own personalized integration system and verification system. And yeah, the site, like I've already populated, I can show you guys quickly, or tell you guys, let's go to Kajabi. So Kajabi, okay, so right now, 2 seconds. Concepts. Okay, so the core concepts course. Okay, so structure. Okay, so right now, the way that we're going to do it is we're basically going to release these in kind of sections. So right now I'm going to give away, like, what it'll be end of week is what we're aiming to sort of have. So we're going to have the intro to structure mapping application bullish, mapping application bearish. And then I'm going to talk about the three main components of structure, which is obviously our internal or swing, sub, and then obviously order flow shift and realignment. So I'll have a segment on all of those sort of dialed in. I'll just share the screen so you guys can have a quick peek. Yeah, so we've got everything sitting in the dashboard. We just need to finalize a few things. Intro to structure mapping application, supply and demand. We've got just a couple little things on this, just buyers versus seller and the creation of supply and demand. Pretty standard stuff, but all stuff that's super helpful and kind of gets you back to like a grounded state. Order flow 101, order flow application, bullish, bearish, order flow realignment theory. And then I have, what else we got here? Higher time frame narrative. All the liquidity concept stuff is sitting in the OneDrive. Or no, sorry, it's not in the OneDrive yet, but I'm going to be basically rolling this stuff out over the course of the next few weeks. There's a lot of different components with liquidity that I'm trying to cover. And again, it's one of the most tricky things to talk about without having context on a chart. So it's not this black and white sort of like here's structure or here's supply and demand or whatever it is. It's just, yeah, trying to sort out exactly what it is that we want to be able to articulate in the course. Entry models, management, practical application, data logging, and then we'll also have all of our market forecast Wednesday. Everything will live within here, and then at some point we're going to start rolling out our Q&A form submissions. So it's coming, man. It's like we're very close. We're hoping to have the site live on by end of week, probably Sunday of next week, so a week from today. And yeah, it's been a long time coming. So it's yeah, the members portal. I can show you guys what it looks like too, since we're on here. Where are we? Products. Do this. We can, yeah. Anyways, I'll have to. Yeah, I'm not the guy that's dealing with any of this shit. So unfortunately, I don't really know where to go, and I don't want to fuck anything up either. So another thing I want to make mention of is right now the one-on-one pricing is sitting at 150 USD per session, per hour is what it is. I'm going to be bumping it up probably by the end of this week. It's not because it's not because I don't want to, be able to give them at a decent rate. It's just as this community scales, as we, start hitting our goals for, onboarding new members and segregating members into different channels, all these different things, time is going to be of the essence. So all this to say, if a one-on-one is something that you were looking to possibly consider in the next couple of weeks, or you just wanted to maybe get some penciled in or whatever, I would suggest doing that over the course of the next few days, or considering it if that was something that you wanted to do. Again, there's no pressure. It's not for me, it's for you guys. Ultimately, if you need to be able to get the extra help, yeah, I'm going to be bumping up the prices from 150 to probably 225 or even 250 per hour, just based on the fact that it's going to get a little bit busier with just putting out more content, putting out essentially just more content. And I just don't want to be spread too thin, and my time is going to be valued in relation to that. So just FYI, guys, if it's something that you wanted to do, just consider it over the course of the next few days instead of waiting it out. So if there's no questions, oh, sorry, I didn't see a couple questions. My bad. Let's have a quick peek. It was very useful. I do have one question regarding how we mark on structure. Is this the webinar to ask, or should I ask on another? Did you go through the structure mapping video series? And if you did, yeah, we're gonna have an extra live session on Wednesday. So I would suggest doing that on Wednesday, man, just because I can see that you're on an iPhone, and ideally I'd like people to be able to mark up what their questions are on a chart. Furthermore, what you can do is, if you have a specific question on structure, map it out on a chart, and make sure that you're putting it in the trading questions section. I get to them once a day is what I'm doing now. And basically, yeah, mark up what your question is. The better you formulate your question, the easier it is for us to answer. So make sure that you're well labeled, well annotated, all that fun stuff. And yeah, then we can move from there and be able to answer those. Do you think about reaching to intraday price action instead of only checking when alerts are triggered? Again, personally, it's not something that I like to do. I find myself oftentimes I have a tendency of over trading sometimes, especially if I'm not waiting for alerts to get hit. When alerts get hit, it triggers the next sequence within my trade plan, right? It's very much a design, like the way that I work, it's so mechanical, it's almost like an algo, right? It's you want to be able to detach your emotions and not be able to even be in a position where you can feel anything towards the charts until you actually need to make decisions, which typically only happens on lower time frames. So cool. All right, guys, thanks for joining in, and I'll let everybody go for now. And I will, so I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Oh, also, are you planning, you or the team coach, to share some markups in the forecast? Because if we are all trading pretty much the same way, we should at least almost have the same POI, at least for the H4. Yeah, exactly. So I've added a new section for my sort of EOD markups, and I might do the forecasting ones too. Again, man, I've been away for about 2.5 weeks with everything sort of going on in my personal life. So just, yeah, trying to get situated. The main priority right now is making sure that the site gets up and operational for everybody and having that course out. And then getting into, yeah, the end of the week, once everything is going, it's going to be very easy to get back on the up and up with these things and being able to manage these things. So I appreciate the patience, guys. I know it's been, kind of like a banter back and forth. Yeah, we're doing the best we can, man, with what we've got. But yes, it will be coming, and we'll cross that bridge when it gets to when we get to it, I guess. So yeah, have a good day, guys. Enjoy yourselves. If you have any questions whatsoever, like I said, with structure mapping, whatever it might be, just throw it in the trading questions section and make sure that you have a really, really detailed chart markup so that we can mark up together and be able to actually talk about it. So have a good day, guys, and I will catch you guys on Wednesday.